If you're a woman in midlife, menopause, or beyond, and you're dealing with a slowing metabolism, weight creep, belly bloat, or low energy, I have an incredible free gift for you. My metabolism boosting ebook bundle includes 3 supportive ebooks packed with proven strategies and simple, delicious recipes for busy women in midlife and beyond. And when you download the bundle, you'll receive the Rev Up Your Metabolism Guide, a metabolism boosting winter wellness recipe book, and a quick, nourishing breakfast recipe book. So if you're ready to burn fat, release stubborn weight, and energize your body, grab your free gift bundle on my website at sarahhaaswellness.com or through the link in the episode show notes below. Welcome, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Boss Body Podcast, where we empower busy women in midlife, menopause, and beyond with the tools they need to release weight, physical, mental, and emotional, to create the vibrant, healthy life they deserve. If you're successful in so many areas of your life, but you struggle to give yourself the same love and care you offer everyone else, you've found your community. I'm your host, Sarah Haas, women's weight release and body love coach, and I'm here to help you age radiantly, feel good in your body, and live a joyful, energized life now and for decades to come. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Body Podcast. This is Sarah Haas. I'm so happy you're with me today. If you are a regular listener, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here and for tuning in. And if you are new to the podcast, I am thrilled to have you. I have a great episode today because one of the things that I utilize in my life is mantras. And you may have heard a lot about mantras. Basically, it's just something that you repeat over and over again throughout your day, throughout your life. And it literally changes your brain. It changes your focus and it can rewire your brain toward wherever it is you're wanting to go. And I have Colleen Souza with me today. She deeply, deeply believes in the power of mantras. She is a recognized educator turned real estate leader. She's a speaker, and she has a new book called Living by the Mantras: Common Sense Wisdom for an Extraordinary Life. Colleen, thank you. I am so, so happy that you're here with me today. And I want to learn all about mantras, what that
Sure.
means, how we can use them, what's the right way to use them. Because I think sometimes when we hear mantra, we think, oh, that's just like a repetitive thing. And is that really going to help? So
Yeah.
I can't wait to dive in. So thank you for being here.
I am so grateful to have the opportunity. I always love chatting with people about what I love. So there you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we really start breaking down what mantras are and all those details, tell me how you got into this. What made you write the book? Where does that deep belief in the value of mantras stem from?
Excellent question. It really stems from just my life experience. And that's, you always want to validate what it is you do. I am, as you shared, I was a teacher, but before that, I was a mom. Started that journey 32 years ago, almost 33 years ago. That's the age of my oldest. As I was raising my children, and I have 3 altogether, right now 32, 29, and then we call her God's little sense of humor. She'll be 21 in April. So I have a little bit of a split. So I've had quite the experience of the big kids, we call them, and Gracie. But as I was raising them, we had our set of rules in our household, and they were great kids, and they got along well with each other. They got along well with us, and when they went out into the world, they were always very respectful and doing what they were supposed to do. And I had people ask me, what are you doing? How are your kids like that?" So I shrugged my shoulders and said, "I don't know." And my husband and I started to pay attention. And we began to realize what we were doing. Now you go forward. I was a classroom teacher, as you shared, for 20 years. And I always had students who performed very well academically, but I never sent kids to detention. And teachers were always like, what are you doing? Why are the kids walk in your classroom and behave and not behave in ours? And because I taught middle school, which was, a crazy zone. But the bottom line was I realized by paying attention that I was using the same method there. Forward again, I came to work with my husband 15 years ago as a real estate, as a partner in our real estate company. As we were putting kids through college, it earned a little bit more than a classroom teacher. So I
Oh,
jumped.
yeah, that's nice when they're in college. I have two in college right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I jumped on board with him and we began to team up, and my teacher instinct kicked in and I began to be a trainer of real estate agents as they were coming into the profession. And same thing, we had a lot of success in our business and my agents were having success. And it was because I was employing the same tactic, which was simply having really defined ideas and values that were learned by mantras, by repetitive statements and phrases. And, people hear mantras and they think something very spiritual and something very serious. They don't have to be, and they weren't necessarily, as far as the mantras themselves, that in our world, but what they represented was important and serious. So the best example I can get is if for the first three, if you ask my kids standing I love to do it when we're in a room full of people, and I'll go, hey kids, what's rule number one? And they'll say, keep your pants on. That was mantra number one in our household, and it was about making good choices, and that stemmed out of my son used to grab his little shorts sitting in the car seat as a kid, and he'd get stressed really easy. And I'd say, calm down, dude, keep your pants on, make better choices. Don't be so stressed out. In our world, that's what choices, when I said, keep your pants on to my kids, they knew mom's telling us to think about the choices we're making. Rule number two, if it's wet and it's not yours, don't touch it. And that was all about self-control, and they understood that. They knew that they were out of control. If I'd say, is it wet? Is it yours? All right, fine. And it was a silly little mantra in our world. Now, not all of them are that silly. The number three is leave it better than you found it. And that's about respect. So some of them make more sense than others, but it's not so much the words that make the mantra as the meaning behind the mantra. And what I discovered over time is it was having a really seriously positive effect on my children, on my marriage, on my life, on our family, in my classroom, and then eventually in our business. So I became a really passionate believer in the idea of that. And some people call them just quotes and phrases, proverbs, mantras. They're just, like you said, repeated often enough that when we see those words, they have a meaning, and that meaning has a powerful effect. So that's where they come from.
Yeah, and I love how you made it very accessible for kids. So it definitely had a humorous twist to it.
Oh yeah.
And that resonates with kids. It's like, oh, keep your pants on. If it's wet and it's not yours, stay away from it. So it's kind of funny. It has a little cheekiness to it, but it really can resonate with the kids, and
really
that's
does.
something that can stick in their heads.
And it needs to. And I mean, and it resonates. It makes adults chuckle, but it's still like number 20 on our list. And after we got through the first three, they all had different ones that they're like, Mom, you have to do this one. Mom, you have to do this one. Because we sat down, I said, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be in it. So I'm going to tell your stories. My poor children went to the school I taught at. So they were used to, my older ones were used to abject humiliation, because at break, my daughter would walk in my classroom and go, really, Mom, that story? You had to tell that
I
story.
love embarrassing my kids, especially in
break,
public.
By break, everyone's like, I heard what you did last night. And she'd be like, thanks, Mom. So, that's just a part of the package. But as they shared, like number 20 that ended up on the list was always stop at the lemonade stand. And in our house, my husband is the master of generosity. Like I've always taught to be kind, but my husband is just uber generous. And he taught our kids from a young age, if we passed a lemonade stand, the man stopped. And if they wanted 50 cents for the cup, they got $5 for it. And then he would give them a little chat on what you're doing today is very important. You're learning what work is. Good job on working, that kind of a thing. And he taught my kids generosity. And so that became the phrase that means, hey, if you have the opportunity to support someone and give, you be generous. And so some of them are cheekier than others. Some of them are
Mhm.
just stolen, like begin with the in the mind. That's one of the 7 habits of, Maxwell's highly effective people.
Yeah.
We don't claim to have created them, but we claim their importance and the value that comes from that. So
Yeah. I love that. So I've always thought, and I know that you say that when you use these mantras consistently, it really changes the mindset. And, it's easy to get into a negative headspace sometimes when life's hard or we blow up. We always blow up the negative,
oh,
right? And we look for the negative, and it's easy. I'm someone who's always struggled with depression and anxiety, and I really have to find tools to keep me positive. And you say that these mantras are one of those ways. Can you speak a little bit to that and how it
absolutely.
changes you from the into a
Oh,
more
yeah.
positive mindset and that changes your life, basically, your
Well,
life
it does.
experience?
And you have to be reminded. I mean, I am, here's what I say I live by, but I just weeks ago we were at parent weekend down in Arizona State where my daughter goes to school, and we were at this event, and I hit a mode where something caused me to totally just, and my daughter pulled me aside. She's like, "Eyes on me, mom." And it's so fun when they turn the tables on you. She's like, "I love you. You're beautiful. Don't let this intimidate you. We got this." And I was like, because it was a whole bunch of parents and all of us. It was just a moment. I had a moment where I just said, "Give me a minute. I'm not ready for this." And she shifted my mind back. She took the tools I had given her, and I was able to overcome that moment and just go, okay, moving on. We're going to do this because, I can
Mm-hmm.
do this. Um, and that's really super important. Like I do the actual mantra number 4 in my book is we're about solutions, not problems, and positivity. And I think it speaks well to what you asked. And that is crap is going to come our way. Stuff
Oh,
hits.
yeah.
And it's not always, I mean, I don't walk through life with the misconception that it's going to be perfect. I just
Mhm.
walk through life understanding that if my brain is in the right place, no matter what hits, or even if it's in the wrong place, I can shift it back. Um, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And like I say in this chapter, and what I've said to my kids, my students, my coworkers, to myself, it's okay to recognize and acknowledge the problem. It's okay to be angry, hurt, freaked out, whatever it is. But once you've done that,
Mm-hmm.
you can't sit in it. You have to turn it around and,
Right.
okay, how am I going to solve it? And one of the things I always share, and it's in the chapter on the positivity, is find 3 solutions to every problem, because it makes you realize, this is the mindset shift,
Mm-hmm.
that there's multi dimensions to your problem. There's other
Yeah.
people involved. There's other consequences involved. There's other ways to look at it than just being stressed out. So I think that it's just understanding we have the power, there's such a power to words, and we forget the power of words. And even when they're just speaking them to ourselves, they're just so powerful. So it's important to have these words that help your shift your mindset. Another really super good example that's my favorite is it's mantra number 10 in my book. My youngest was my grand experiment, because I had some years of parenting behind me. My
Mm-hmm.
other 2 were 12 and 10 when she was born, so like I kind of knew this parenting thing instead of just figuring it out every single day. And I had watched some social media videos of this guy that had his daughter look in the mirror and say something positive to herself every day. So I thought, I can do this. So when my little one got out of the car to go to kindergarten the first day, she had to tell me, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, and I'm going to have a great day. She did that every
Mm-hmm.
day of her life. And
Wow.
COVID, when you know hit, and she wasn't leaving every day, and that's its own story. But what I watched is it developed, and sometimes she would say it flippantly, like I'd say Grace, and she'd go, "Sorry, beautiful, have a great day, mom." She was gone. But she knew to say it. And we hit COVID, and there was a lot going on, and we're here in California, so we were completely shut down for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years. um, I noticed she was just getting kind of depressed, and she was struggling, even though she was surrounded by family all the time. And I realized she stopped saying that for about 6 months. We stopped saying that. And so she and I sat down and talked about all the things that were dimensions around it. And I said, we're going to start doing that. Before I go into my office every day, before you go into your virtual classroom every day, you're still going to tell me. And I watched it turn her back around, because those words were really powerful in her mind but she was smart. She was beautiful. She could handle the day. She had it.
Mm-hmm.
And so once again, that was it was very powerful to me to watch how that transformed her and that meant a lot to her. And to this day, even if she's off at school, if she's really stressed about something or has an interview or has something, she'll call and go, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm gonna have a great day. And she'll just hang up. That's it. She just wants to say it out loud to me so that it's been shared, it's out there. And
Right.
it's really a good example of how
Yeah.
words and shifting our minds can be to keep us positive.
Yeah, and I like what you said about it is important to process those emotions. It's not about sweeping it under the rug. It's not about ignoring. Of course, things are going to cause you grief or sadness or anger, whatever. But there becomes a point where you are embodying that, you're identifying with that.
Exactly.
And sometimes we need tools to pull us out of that
Mhm.
because, like you said, shit's going to happen. Life is
It
going to
is.
happen. We
It is.
cannot control what will happen. And I think a lot of us spend too much time wishing it could be different, trying to reimagine, think,
Yes.
oh, well, what if this didn't happen? What if my marriage didn't break up? What if
Right.
I had, what if I didn't get fired or didn't get this job or whatever it is? And yes, it's good to spend a minute, whatever you need to process to release
Absolutely.
that emotion. But then I always, the way I think of it is this happened and now what?
Exactly.
Because you have to move forward. You cannot change the
It's
past.
and when we dwell in it, it's the and I'm a high energy person, so pick your characters. I always those people that dwell in it, I call them my Eeyores, and I tend to be
Yeah.
Tigger. When you want to
Yeah.
pick little characters, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
bouncing around going, hey, it's gonna be all right, and there's
Right.
every version of it. But if you just if you sit in the sorrow, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have a sorrowful life, and that's every emotion is valid, and I'm
Yeah.
very big on validating the emotion when when my kids, friends, my husband, myself, even I'll look in the mirror and go, okay, how you feel is very valid right now, Colleen, but why are you going to stay there? What are you going to do about it? Is it, do you like how
Mm-hmm.
you feel right now? And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing, is just having those moments where, and having a phrase. And whether when it comes to things like mantras, I laughed. I do have to, I'll hold the book up. I was working with a graphic designer and I just gave some ideas. And the fact that she came back with a post-it note cover, if I was to turn my computer around to, I have a big screen that it's supposed to blow up my little screen across the room when I'm working at my desk. And I can't use it that way because it's covered in post-it notes. Everything's covered in post-it notes. All my notebooks, I have them everywhere. So I thought it was hilarious that on our own, that was one of the choices I had. So post-it notes work for me. You'll find them everywhere. But
Mm-hmm.
use a dry erase marker on your
Yeah.
bathroom mirror in the morning. Put a message. If that's where your bad conversation starts, find those mantras, those positive thoughts, and start there. Your rear view mirror. If you're a road rager, which my 21-year, I tell her all the time to keep a dry erase marker in the car and write on her rear view mirror, be nice or smile, or
Yeah.
I love people, because she just
Yeah.
into this beast behind the wheel. And I laugh at it all the time. I'm like, who are you? And what happens when you get in the car? But wherever your point of weakness is, wherever your point of frustration or stress is, find a way. I mean, you're all about health and fitness. There was a phase where I had to lose a serious amount of weight, and I had a post-it note on my refrigerator that says, uh, no food tastes as good as being skinny feels, so that I would keep myself from grabbing food when I didn't need to eat. When I was eating impulsively, I'd be like, okay, a glass of water is better, and walk away, because I needed that little mantra, that little statement, that little reminder to keep me positive.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it needs to be for you.
Yeah, that's an important point. And I love the sticky notes too. I also have those. It's a good idea to put one in my car because I don't have road rage, but I'm impatient. I'm impatient if someone's taking
I
too
think
long to
that's probably a
turn
better
or
way
go at
to
the,
describe my daughter.
and
Yeah.
And
Just
when
feels so
I'm not
stupid.
in any hurry, I'm not in a hurry. And for some reason, I want it to go faster. And I have to keep reminding myself, you're not in a hurry. This is not making a big difference. Just be in this moment and just
Yeah.
chill and relax. And
Kill
another
from
thing, another thing that I do is I came up with words that I want to embody that
Mm,
I did not feel like I had. And this was probably 10 years ago. And I wrote them on a little post it note. One was powerful, one was dynamic, one was confident, because I was in a place in my life where I was not feeling any of those. And I put it in my little makeup thing on the sink of my bathroom, so I would see those every single morning as I was putting on my makeup. And that was basically a mantra. I am powerful, I am confident, I
yes,
am
because words
dynamic.
have power and we
They
forget that.
do.
Well, and there's two things to share from that. I smile when I transitioned. I got out of college, I became a classroom teacher. And so, in a sense, I never left the school schedule. When you're a teacher, it's not any different than when you're a kid. When you're going to go to the bathroom, when you're going to talk to other adults, exactly when you're going to eat, your life is very regimented by the bell schedule. And when I left that after 20 years of being, 20 years into adulthood of being a teacher, and I shifted over to real estate where you create your own schedule every day. There was, of
Yeah.
course, a couple of months where I was absolutely ineffective because I was like, nobody's telling me where to be. When's the bell going to ring? So I had a post-it note that I stuck right at my computer. It was actually taped onto the base of my laptop, and it said, "Get up, dress up, show up." And it was
Mm.
because I was even finding it hard to get out of my pajamas when nobody was telling me I had to be in front of people.
Right.
Like, you're going
Yeah.
to get up, you're going to get dressed, to the point where my husband would go, "Where are you going today?" I'm like, "Right here." But when I look and see myself, I'm here for work. And so
Yeah.
there's
So it helped you with
moments.
that discipline.
It does. But I love what you did with the words because and I share about that. We do this annual summit with our family, and we have since our kids were little, and it's morphed and changed where we set goals for the year. And of course, as their lives changed and as they matured and as we learned better ways or we wanted to experiment, there were 2 different years where we did exactly that. We just chose a word.
Yeah.
We had a few, I would like to achieve these couple of things this year, but this is my word or my words to embrace.
Mm-hmm.
And quarterly I send it out to everybody. Okay, how we doing on our, just so we don't forget we did it in January. But my daughter, my creative middle daughter, she made us each these little mini poster things to put somewhere that were our word. What was our word for
Yeah.
the year? Or our
Yeah.
words? Because it's so important when you need to remind yourself that you can be that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always say your outside world is a direct reflection of what is going on inside. So if your life is chaotic, your brain is chaotic. It's basically the same as manifesting.
It very much is.
When you talk about what do you want to manifest, what do you want to draw to you, energy create attracts like energy. So
Uh-huh.
when I talk to women who are trying to find a soulmate or trying to get healthy or trying to find the job they want, whatever it is, the universe is reflecting back to you
What you're
the
giving
way
it.
that you feel and the thoughts that you are thinking.
Oh,
And when you change those thoughts, you will act differently. You will show up differently. If you feel confident, your body language will project confidence.
right.
And that will attract people who want to be around a confident person.
And if you're being grumpy, negative, you'll find yourself surrounded by grumpy, negative people, and you'll think, why am I here? And
Right.
it's no, I love that. I love that. We've been about vision boards in our family for a long time. I'm
I
looking
love a
across, I
vision
see
board.
mine over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And one of my favorite stories is I didn't do the little "I'm smart, beautiful, have a great day." That value attached to that mantra is manifesting because we've watched it work. And in that chapter, I share the story. My older daughter, um, she graduated from high school here in California and went off to design school in New York City. Little California girl, and we're a little farm town in the smack in the middle of the town in the state where I live. And off we sent our daughter to Manhattan, and it was challenging, and it was very competitive, and she was working in this competitive fashion design world. She struggled after she graduated. She got a good job, but it was just so many factors and being alone back there. So I said, do you have a vision board? So she put a vision board together and she put it where she saw it every single day. And about a year and a half later, maybe a year to a year and a half later, she was doing a move out of the city over to Jersey post-COVID. Just everything was expensive. I was helping her move. So she had a beautiful view of the city and was a train ride away. But as we are moving her into this apartment, I pulled her vision board out of a box, and we had just set up her apartment. She had this beautiful, awesome apartment, having been in a hole inside the city, that had this wall of windows that looked at Manhattan, and she could see the Statue of Liberty, and there was a bed right by the window. It was just a big studio. But that was, she hadn't even thought about it. We're busy putting it all together. And I'm like, Julie, turn around and look at this. There in the middle was a picture of an apartment that was a wall of windows with a bed off of one, looking at the city. And she just looked at me. And then on top of it, I hadn't seen her vision board. There was a fluffy little white puppy that she'd put on there. And that Christmas before, about 6-8 months before that, I decided she needed a friend, and I got her this little tiny puppy that was this a literally fitting image of the puppy on the
Wow.
and there was a number of other little things. And I looked at her and I'm like, girlfriend, does
Yeah.
it work? Does it work? And she looked at me, she goes, time for a new vision board. And that's really, I said, I think it is. I think it's time for you to,
Yeah.
because this was something you thought was impossible, and you put it on your vision board. And I mean, there were all these things. And she's like, you're right, Mom.
Yeah.
And on top of
Yeah.
that, she had a picture of just her, a couple holding hands. And she met, within months of that, her very serious boyfriend now. So
Oh my goodness.
and then they've been together 3 years now. But it's just that idea that you're talking about. We have to put in front of ourselves the words and the ideas that are going to make us a better version of ourselves, positive version of ourselves. It matters. It does matter.
Yeah.
It takes us to a better place.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about one thing, and that is something when I work with women about creating what they want in their lives, and mantras and changing your way of thinking are always a huge part of that. Really, the mindset shifts make all the difference. But sometimes they want to go from 0 to 100 all at once. Like, let's say they want to lose weight. So their vision board would be this super skinny, super fit woman. And they would look at that. And even though that's what they wanted to work toward, their brain immediately was like, that's like almost how, this going from 0 to 100. If you have a mantra that just does not feel true for you at all, then I feel like that almost kicks up negativity when you see it.
You have to be realistic. You have to, I agree with you. You have to be, I, yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find a way to say it all properly. Like, I have, we either win or we learn. It's one of my life mantras. We either win or we learn, and it's embracing failure. And I think that it's an important one to have in there, and it's not negative to have it in there, because it's knowing that, like, it's what you said, we have to have realistic vision and goals. We have to have realistic, so I put in that chapter, I remember writing this, I always say when I set a goal, what would I consider the joking phrase absolute failure? So if you set the goal, I'm gonna lose 100 pounds. Okay. I'll be straight up honest. That was one of my goals. I mean, it is one of my goals right now. I hit menopause. I had some health problems. I put on that weight that women go through.
Oh yeah, I see it all the time.
I said to myself, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. I'm going to do it. Of course, it's fun to say I'm going to do it in 2025. But 2025 realistically became the year that I focused on my health. And because it was more than exercise, it was changing my diet. It was changing the way I thought. It was changing everything that I am. I've lost 30 pounds this year.
Good for you.
That's
That's huge. That's amazing.
Okay, I got rid of that. It's not on my body anymore. Did I lose the 100? No. So you either win or you learn. And what I've learned from the process is I feel better. My energy is better. Life is better
Mm-hmm.
because of the way I eat, the scheduling of my food, what I put in my body. So 2026 can be about the pounds because there's
Yeah.
more to come off. And it's the winner we learn. And it's having a mindset of embracing failure, because it's just like the negativity. It's going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. But how do you handle it? Do you let it stop? And so you sit back down on the couch and say, screw it, I'm just going to eat potato chips and watch movies all
Mm-hmm.
day? Or you're going to say, look at how far I've come. Look at what,
Yeah.
and as I speak, if my children or my daughter, my youngest daughter and husband are watching this, because that is where I struggle when I had my breakdown. I'm at this event and there's all these pretty skinny moms, and I got a reflection of myself and I went, that's not where I hope to be by this point. And so I had that moment of freaking
Mm-hmm.
out about my failure. And my daughter, that's when she got in my face and said, Mom, look what you've done. Look where you are. Look at who you are. You've got this. And I'm like, you're right. Okay, get over that.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
it that was me embracing that failure, the failure that I'm not where I'd wanted to be, but was that realistic
Right.
to be there? And then how much further can I go? So I think that's a really valid one. It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a way that you take a look at what is failure. Failure is just learning, getting better.
Yeah. The mantras are really about getting better. It's
Hmm.
about it has to be believable, but also, like you said, if you just focus on the end goal,
Hmm.
then you're not focusing on what's really behind the mantra. The I'm going to focus on my health this year. I'm going to nourish my body. I'm going to start doing things that feel good in my body with food, with exercise, with whatever, instead of I'm going to lose 100 pounds, which you immediately kind of shut down when you hear that because it just seems
Like,
huge.
wait, was that real?
Yeah. So it
Exactly.
really has to have energy and a ring of truth to it when
Mhm.
you set the mantras. Like when I had those words on my mirror, I didn't feel I embodied those. But what my goal was is to focus on these and take steps toward becoming what it
Right.
was. So the mantras are really more about the how versus the what.
And they're about the how and the why, because yeah,
Yeah.
I'm much about the fact that they're not exactly the what, because the what is the end product, but
Right.
the end product is always going to be better if you understand how you're going to do it and why you're going to do it. Those
Yes.
two things are so critical in helping us become anything. I mean,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
We forget it. It's you're gonna take. I love the example of a baby learning to walk. Right. I mean, if we all didn't have the how and the why, we'd all be slithering around on the ground, because if
Yeah.
it got too hard, I mean, how many times does a baby fall on his bottom, hit his head on the
Exactly.
table, flop down? But it's that tenacity and the never giving up and the just
Mm-hmm.
deciding that I will be a walker because everybody
Mm-hmm.
else around me is walking and I'm not going to be the only one sitting on the floor. That drives them, pushes them. And then what is eventually they walk. And we
Right.
forget as adults that we have to go through those, falling on our bottom, hitting our head on the table and smashing our fingers or whatever the things little kids do that start them squealing. But eventually the what happens. And that's
Yeah.
so important, so important.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. So I want to mention to everybody listening that Colleen has a beautiful gift for us. It's called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. 5 mantras to begin now. So I know you guys are going to want to take advantage of that because it's sort of a little sneak peek into her book, which is Living by the Mantras: Common Sense Wisdom for an Extraordinary Life. You can get that everywhere, Amazon, anywhere books are sold. This is a really important conversation and I love it. And it's just, the timing is perfect with it being near the beginning of the year, and changing your
Yeah.
mindset changes your life. And that's
Well,
absolutely
it's
true.
critical. It's critical. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be big and dramatic. I mean, New Year's resolutions are wonderful things. And
Yes.
it's kind of that clear out the cobwebs time of year. But I like to challenge people as they look at each and every one of these in the book, some are going to ring truer than others because
Hmm.
it's about the values. Like, if hard work is something that you're working on, if learning to focus better, if overcoming obstacles, if learning to fail forward, if being more generous, whatever it is that you need to focus on, then pick one thing this week that you can do within that and watch what happens. Don't try
Yeah.
it all. And that's the biggest thing in life, whether it's this or something else, don't try to do it all at once. So like with the weight loss, for me, it was cutting out sodas was my first thing. That had
Yeah.
become my
Take it in
crutch.
steps.
And
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of that sugar in my world was so huge. And by the end of a month, and I didn't start in January, I think we started in April of like the spring of the year before, that by the time the new year hit and I said, this year is all about fitness, that piece was gone.
Yeah.
And other little pieces went with it because it changed who I was. So pick the little thing that matters to you and then watch
Mm-hmm.
it evolve. It does happen.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's great advice. So I will make sure that the links to Colleen's gift and her book are in the show notes so that you guys can take a look at that. Colleen, I want to thank you again. It was such a pleasure having you.
I really enjoyed it, and thanks very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to you all for tuning in. Thanks for letting me be a part of your world, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for being here. I'm honored that you've chosen to spend your time with me and allowed me to be part of your journey. In case you need to hear this, you are enough. You're smart enough. You're successful enough. You're beautiful enough. You're important enough. You are enough right now, just as you are. You were enough yesterday. You'll be enough tomorrow. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with the amazing women in your life who could use a little extra love and support. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.